Tell us about yourself. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with the citizens of Hingham in this format. I grew up in Hingham. Actually, was born in Hingham, Otis Hill, Governor Long, back in the late '50s. And when my family grew, my dad he moved us to Scituate because he couldn't afford a 5-bedroom house in Hingham at the time. When my dad was practicing as a chiropractor at that time, chiropractic was not licensed, and so he had to be more affordable, and so we did move to Scituate at that time. And so I went through the Scituate school system and then moved back to Hingham in the late '80s, which I've been here at the same house since then.
Tell me about your professional career.
Well, it's like my dad. I'm a chiropractor. I went through the same college as he did out in Iowa. Graduated in 1982. And we practiced together. My dad and I was fortunate, practiced for 13 years together. We drove from Scituate into Brookline and home every day. It's a unique experience, working with your dad like that. So, and he passed away, unfortunately. But I've been in the Brookline office because, when my dad started back in the '40s, you had to be in an urban environment in order to make a living. So I've maintained the same practice in Brookline. Since then, I've done a number of things with chiropractic. I was appointed to the Chiropractic Licensing Board back in 1999. I still serve on that. And I've also been active with the Federation of Chiropractic Licensing Boards, which is all the licensing boards across the United States, went through their officer positions. And in addition to that, the National Board of Chiropractic Examiners, which is a high-stake examination company, and we provide exams for all the chiropractic candidates looking for licensure, along with some ethical-based examinations that we offer for all professions. $12 million organization. I was board member for that for a number of years.
When did you first become interested in public service?
Well, I, again, started with the licensing board in '99. And at the same time, I was involved with the Weir River Watershed Association and went through that set of chairs with that organization. I'm a past president of the Weir River Watershed Association. And I started around the same time in '99. And at the time, we were having here in Hingham an issue with the water company where they were planning on putting a water treatment plant in my neighborhood. I live on Prospect Street. And so I got involved with the Neighborhoods Not Industrial Plant movement to get the water company treatment plant situated in our neighborhood so it wasn't directly on our side streets, that it actually came in from Main Street. And that was back in the late '90s. So that was my first foray into town government. And then from there, I went to the Board of Health meetings and, what can I do to help out? And they formed a water supply subcommittee to look at Aquarium, because at the time, again, Aquarium was exceeding their state registration, and we had the third most expensive water rates in the country. And they tasked us and a number of individuals in Hingham to look at that issue, and that drew into or morphed into a reconstitution of the Water Supply Committee, which I was appointed to, I think back in 2001 or 2002 by the moderator, in which we established a water supply policy for the town and dealt with Aquarian Water Company from that point up until the sale last year. That was our role: gain information, try to get things accomplished from what the town would like to see done with the company.
Kirk, do you feel that your career in public health has prepared you for this next role in public service?
Yes. In addition to being a member of the Board of Health since 2002 or 2003, I'm also with the Hingham Sewer Commission in my second term. I was asked actually by a selectman to join that because they were having some personnel and some policy issues that they wanted me to help out with. And I'm also, again, on the Water Supply Committee. So the three different groups I've been functioning in Hingham government, and they're related. And so with that, I've done an awful lot with the planning, with the water supply, the Health South Hingham study. I did a lot of work with that. And so it's been very rewarding being the town government. I actually quite enjoy it.
Why did you decide to enter the race for Board of Selectmen with Karen Johnson stepping down?
Well, that was the opportunity by Karen deciding not to run again. And I didn't know anyone else that was going to run. And I've been with these other boards for a good amount of time. I had a health issue last year, and I thought, if I'm going to move into something different, this is probably the most appropriate time to do it with an open seat. And so I thought, being someone who is unique, I'm self-employed. I have a versed background in many things that, I'm going to bring a different perspective to the Hingham Selectmen. And so I thought I would be, a unique candidate for that.
Let's talk about your vision for the town of Hingham, and let's talk about it from the perspective of short-term challenges and long-term.
Well, the short-term challenge, I think we all can agree, revolves around the health crisis we have now with the coronavirus. And, 25% of people losing their jobs, and how that's going to impact the finances of the town. I know that the selectmen, the school committee, and the advisory committee have been working to develop a budgetary plan moving forward, that the hope is to maintain the current budget that was approved before this crisis happened, but with certain stopgap measures and protective thresholds in order to not exceed what the plan is. And I don't want to go into their plan, just the fact that it's something that we all need to keep aware of. So that's the short term. In addition to that, it's tragic what's happening in our elderly housing. It's across the state, but it's here in Hingham. 40%, 50% of the people are in these facilities that they're passing away. And so to do more to protect them, have compliance plans for those elderly housing, I think that's important for the short term, essential actually. In addition to that, grocery store compliance, because where are we? We're at grocery stores, that's where people are congregating, and then elderly housing, that's where people unfortunately are passing away. That's the short term, Joe. Long term, I have two perspectives. I'd like to see us involved more with the harbor. I think the harbor is the jewel to Hingham. I think it's underutilized, its perspective. I love what Bill Reardon has been doing, but I'd like to see the harbor turn into less a thoroughfare where people from south, just kind of drive through on their way to some other location, and have it in a point of attraction where people go to for things on the harbor, in addition to the shops and the businesses in the area. So, I'd like to see the roadway change as far as the traffic, and a model that I would suggest that people go look at. Go up to Swampscott and see what 1A is like along the water there, how you slow down, there's ample parking, and it's just really, it's beautiful. We have the same thing. Our harbor is prettier, but it's underutilized for the aspect of recreation and attraction. And again, it's more roadway, a high-speed roadway. So I'd like to see that. And the second is, what are we going to do about additional business and tax revenue within our town? South Hingham has been poised since the recession in 2007, 2008 to be that area. We spent a lot of money on the lighting up there, the roadways. I'm involved with the wastewater management plan for solving that particular issue. And again, I mentioned the South Hingham study that I was helped to put together the water supply and the wastewater infrastructure component of that plan. So I see South Hingham as being something that we need to be careful. I think that what's happened along Route 3A, there's enough there. And so we don't want to have the same thing happen in South Hingham. At the same time, we need to utilize the space that's there for additional businesses to go in, mixed use development. And it is a wonderful region to do that. We need to get some of the landowners on board to what their visions are. But I think that certainly is our long-term future, and I'd love to be able to work to see that happen.
What else would you like the Hingham voters to know about you?
Well, I mentioned, for the first time the past month, I've been in the office doing the book work and trying to keep afloat, but being self-employed has had its challenge. Patients are scared to come in. You do what you can. So before, patients would typically come in throughout the various economies that we've had because they're hurting. And now, patients have been scared, not to go out. And so I realize that'll change and will come around, but really has given me a great awareness of the plight of people that aren't as fortunate as many of us that have careers similar to mine. And, just not bringing in an income for weeks and weeks. It's been eye-opening, Joe. It's really been fascinating.